Good morning, good morning, good morning. So, another morning on my way to the gym, and it's getting to be a little bit cold here in Gothenburg, so I might have to bring back my hat or cap or whatever it's called, beanie I think, don't know. So I thought I was going to talk about JavaScript, because I've never talked about JavaScript before, right? But this time it's all gonna be about how much I love that language and why I love it so much. Now, if you are new to programming and you haven't heard of JavaScript, I urge you, I don't know really why you would be watching this video, apart from my handsome face maybe, I don't know. But if it's completely new to you, JavaScript is a programming language or a scripting language, but it is a programming language that is running in the browser. Everything you see whenever you open a web page, that for the most part is animating something or like making interactions without reloading the page and so forth. Basically, that's running with JavaScript. And most of the stuff that you need to be able to do in modern web applications is done through JavaScript. And also fairly recently, a few years ago, JavaScript added Node.js, which is a server-side technology that allows you to run JavaScript on the server to its repertoire of tool sets. And you may or may not know that JavaScript is a controversial language because way back when it was added to the browser, it was treated as this toy language, which in truth it was. It was written in a fairly short amount of time, I think 10 days or something like that. And its original intent was not to be necessarily a full-scale language, but rather something to be a supplement to web technology such as HTML and CSS. Now, since then, the adoption of this language has been so massive that it's virtually taken over the world in terms of programming. Now, the controversial part is that there are still people who are that are still talking about this language as if it was this toy language. But if you look around at the ecosystem, and I have spent quite a few years now being inside of that community and being fairly active in this community, and I can tell you that the maturity of this language is at a scale that it's almost non-existent. This argument that it's an immature language and that it's almost non-existent. I'm not saying 100%. There are things that are not great about JavaScript, but to put the bottom line is that if you want to touch the web in any way, you need JavaScript, and that's why I love it. I love the fact that it is so massively powerful and so adopted that it's literally if you want to start programming today, the given choice. It's not even a question. When I started, I felt fairly uncertain. My first question was what programming language do I start with? I didn't know, right? And so I started with Java because that was a very diverse language, I was told at the time. Now that I'm on the other side of the fence and I know how programming works and I know all these things, right? I can tell you, who may ask the same question, JavaScript. It is the first language you should pick and learn well. Trust me, it will allow you to do more than any other language, and it's very easy to start with. It's very easy to get started learning. It's going to cover pretty much every single programming topic that you will need to learn in order to be a professional developer. The tool sets are extremely diverse, very up to date, and the only real downside to the language, or the ecosystem if you will, is that you have a certain amount of people trying to, they're going to tell you that there are, it's chaos. This is very, I hear this a lot from the C# community and the Java, there is a lot of controversial discussions about, oh, JavaScript is, it's chaos, it's the Wild West, where every other week there's a new framework and yada yada yada. And I agree, it is true. Like if you want to pick a language that is stable as the rock, you shouldn't go with JavaScript, because this language or this platform moves faster than any other platform. And hey, that's one more thing what I love about it. Because let's be honest here, do you think that it's a coincidence that the world's biggest programming community is JavaScript, the world's most fastest moving platform is JavaScript, the largest repository of like libraries and open source code is JavaScript? I can go on and on and on and on. Guys, like you the naysayers, you have lost. You lost a long time ago. You know when you lost? You lost the day when JavaScript became the browser default language, because what happened then was that regardless of how you feel about the language, you had to learn it. If you wanted to work with web, and this is still true today, if you want to do web development, you have to learn JavaScript. It's that simple. I'm not saying that it's a perfect language. I'm simply stating that it's the most important language that you can learn for web development, because it's a hard requirement. It's a hard requirement. There is not a single job where you are that has a web developer somewhere in it that does not want you to have JavaScript. You have to learn it. So whatever other language you're going to learn that plus JavaScript. So if you're just starting out, go with JavaScript first, because right now JavaScript can do everything that the other languages can in essence, plus the thing that it did originally. So it makes sense. And apart from these things that I think make it I've already made a fairly strong argument for this language. And another thing I love about it is that it has all the power and strength of other programming languages. It's like with ES6, the new specification that came out a little while ago, it's at the point where it can do almost everything that you could expect from Java or any other languages. And I'm a functional type of programmer, and the functional aspects of JavaScript have been there from almost day one. Now, of course, there are some low-level performance things that it didn't do perfectly, like tail calls and all that stuff. But overall, it had everything that I needed, at least for when I started programming, which can be expected, of course, from a loosely typed language. I still would have loved to have static types and optionals in the language. I will admit, I do miss that. That would be great. But overall, I don't think I'm absolutely at my most productive in JavaScript. Overall, it's the language I would pick any day of the week if I didn't have a really strong use case for something else. I don't know. My guess is that it's going to. The investment is massive from Google and the other large companies. They are pouring in so much time and effort into JavaScript overall and the tools and all that stuff. So I don't think any language has had this much attention for a very long time in terms of adoption and money being invested in the platform. So it's almost I wouldn't go as far as I wouldn't be arrogant to say, oh, everything else sucks, it's just about JavaScript, because that's just not true. But I would say that it's grown to the point where, how PHP used to be the default language for web development a few years ago? Like anybody who wanted to make a web page made it in PHP. Today I will argue that has changed. I would say that if you are building anything for the web, you should be doing that in JavaScript. It should be that. And for the most part, it's even true about like microservices and like enterprise applications. I mean, the serverless movement and Lambda functions, that's also, it was optimized to start off with for JavaScript. So the world has gone JavaScript crazy, which I think is great, because apart from all these other benefits, it's a very small language. I can swear to you right now, you can learn JavaScript in pretty much a day or an afternoon, at least the basic syntax. That's how quickly you can like learn the foundations, and then you of course need to practice in order to embed all of that into like information and like make sure that it's in your spine. But that's what you can do. And afterwards, after you learn that language, you can go on to learn like Node and server-side technologies. You can use Electron to make desktop application. You can use React Native to make mobile applications, PhoneGap or Cordova if you want to make really shitty ones. But it's yeah, I would say that I've covered pretty much all the things that make this language such a great thing. It can do functional, it can do object-oriented programming, it runs anywhere, and it's hands down the largest language in the world with the best community of all. As I said, why wouldn't you love this language?